Welcome everybody back to BeamNG.drive, and today we're doing another test, and this test is going to be about the crash barriers that are on the side of motorways or freeways, basically this. And yeah, we're going to see if it sufficiently stops a car, and if it doesn't, it will end up crashing into this cinder block wall here and therefore fail, as well as seeing if it's not only stops a car in a sufficient distance or a sufficient time, also seeing if it doesn't damage the car too severely to be unsurvivable. And we'll be hitting the barrier around 70 miles an hour, just like it would be on a UK motorway. So let's see what the Autobello can do first, or at least we'll try and get to 70 miles an hour, or around that kind of speed really. Can't expect every car to be perfect when hitting this barrier. Oh, well, it's stopped the car, but it's completely undercut it, well, overcut it really, and yeah, gone past most of the protection and just, yeah, hit the passenger and driver compartment extremely badly, to the point where the fuel is actually leaked, and yeah, the steering wheel is where the driver's seat is, or should be. Yeah, that is yeah, pretty bad. Then again, the Autobello is hardly the strongest of vehicles, so I guess it's kind of to be expected. So let's see what a slightly newer, slightly stronger car can do in the form of the Bishu Covert. We'll go for the we'll go for a normal kind of thing that you'd expect to see. Don't want to go for anything too crazy. Let's see what this larger, far more safer, far more modern vehicle can do. This should be alright. How it will deal with the barrier, whether or not we'll go through it or not, we'll have to see. Well, it tried to go through it, but then it hit the roof and the front window, and yeah, stopped dead in its tracks. But again, the barrier has overridden the protections of the that the car should afford passengers, but not to the point this time where at least the driver and the passenger would be injured. So that's done fairly well. Again, you've got to realise this is at 70 miles an hour, and that's still hardly a slow speed. A lot of you know, crash tests aren't done at 70 miles an hour, for instance. So yeah, this is obviously beyond the type of crashes that you'd expect from these kind of tests. So let's see what a S-Car Egos can do. It's about the same kind of size as a Covert, but I think it's about the same age as well. But it's, yeah, not exactly a large car. So let's see what the 1.6 can do. In fact, I think it's about the same size as the Covert, but it's about whether or not it's going to be as safe or not. Definitely looks like it's safer. The crash barrier hasn't overridden the front of the vehicle, and it's actually hit it and bounced back, so which wouldn't be advisable in a car that's doing this kind of crash, because if you bounce back into traffic, then you might well hit a car that's also doing 70 miles an hour. But yeah, that is yeah, really rather safe. It's probably the safest car I've had yet, purely because the barrier hasn't come up to the windscreen. So it's a pretty good car, to be honest. That is also a mod, by the way, unlike the previous two, which are with the game standard. Pretty good mod overall, to be honest. So let's go something that is old and small, like the Autobello, but not quite. Alright, old and about the same size as a Covert and the like. So we'll go with the Sedan Deluxe. So this is about the same kind of size as a Covert, probably a little bit skinnier, but it's also about as old as the Autobello. Might not well get up to 70 here, but it'll be close. Oh, we are. Devastating. Not quite as bad as the Autobello was, because more of the car did hit the barrier, but yeah, it's hardly going to be a crash that you're going to walk away from, I imagine. So yeah, the Satsuma there not doing very well. Something a bit larger, maybe a bit older on the old side. Let's go for a Gavel Blue Book. We'll go for the flat top, which is a pretty cool mod, to be honest, in terms of the way that it makes the car look. As you can see, makes it look a little bit more space age, especially since it would have been around, you know, the time of the space age. So it'll easily get up to 70. The barrier had pretty much come away, only this part held on by some margin, but yeah, even though this is a larger car than the previous Classic, it's not done all that much better. The door has still come away, the steering wheel has moved closer to where the driver would have been, which would not be handy. The whole reason these cars are no longer made this way is because the lack of B-pillar. As you can see, it's completely separated the two doors from one another. There's no pillar there to secure them against one another, and that's ended up making the bodywork fail as a whole and crushed the compartment together. So yeah, that's why those lack of B pillars really aren't made anymore, and if they are, then they're done in a way that is a lot stronger than they ever would have been. So let's go for another Classic, generally because Classics are a little bit more fun. We'll go for the Burnside, we'll go for an even older car, and we'll go for the Wagon. Probably the heaviest of the vehicles that we've had so far. Oh, slightly crashed there. Purely because it's got the most bodywork, but it's also one of the larger cars. This is going to struggle to get up to 70, to be honest. It's going to get close. Yeah, it's going to get there just. Oh, that's ripped the barrier away. Not enough to continue moving, because I think it's come on. Yeah, it's stuck onto one of these, which are probably going to be the thing to, really overcome. But the car itself has stood up remarkably well, actually. For a classic car like this, I was expecting it to be about as bad as the Blue Book, but the steering wheel hasn't really moved. The front has taken the main brunt of the damage, and even the roof and the doors haven't really come out of alignment. So, obviously this door's opened up, but I think that's because it came across one of these supporting pillars. The bar stove there doing remarkably well. No, not the bar stove. The Burnside doing very well there. Right, let's go for something a bit more modern. I say modern, where are the... We'll go for the Roth Alpha. I say modern, it's still pretty much a 90s kind of car, but it's certainly bigger than the Corvette and the other one. Can't remember the name of it now. Yeah, this is a pretty large car, pretty safe car I found in some crash tests, so this should do really rather well here. It's all about whether or not the barrier can actually take the weight of this car. It's heavier than the Corvette is. I know we're going faster, but it's going to be a good way of testing it. So even though we were going about 5 miles an hour quicker there, that's still done really rather well. It has, been severely damaged. The whole bodywork has been put out of whack because it's just all rippled across, whereas the bonnet and the front of the car has been squeezed under the barrier to the point where it's lost a wheel, and the bonnet has been crumpled up against the windscreen. So it's done quite well, but it has taken a hell of a lot of damage. But as long as the car's taking damage and not anyone inside, then that is all that really matters. Right, let's go for something a little bit larger. Let's go for a pickup truck. We'll go for a large version, and we'll go for the Beast. It's a pretty heavyweight car, about the same age as say an Alpha or the any of the cars before. Quite sure as the Galvan will be considered in terms of its age. It's easily the heaviest car we've had yet. So what's going to happen? It's continuing forward. It's pretty much, yeah, it's once again one of the supporting barriers that is stopping the rest of the vehicle moving forward, which is a good thing. Obviously they're not just supporting the rail itself, but obviously any vehicle that is going to be hitting it. But it has ruptured the fuel tank, which is not a good thing. But the vehicle itself outside of that has dealt with it really rather well. Yeah. Actually, we're going to see what's going to happen if we don't come straight into contact with one of those support barriers. See if we can squeeze it in between two of them. See if that makes a difference. It's about between two of them here. Nope, even when aiming to try and get through them, their barrier is holding up, though it has damaged the car even more because we've tried to squeeze in between the two of them, as you can see. It's completely ruined the chassis, the bonnet, the roof line, the door, or both doors in fact, and yeah, the steering wheel and the seat has moved, so yeah, it's not advisable to try and squeeze through one of these barriers apparently. We will try and see what happens when we hit the edge of the barrier, see if it's any good at stopping it from hitting just one of the supports, but for now let's take a look at the Ibishu hopper. Not as heavy or as large as the Gavril there, but it is pretty quick. Yeah, being smaller it might well fit through that gap between the supports that we've seen before. Yes, it has. Well, it nearly did. Nearly did. It caught the rear wheel on the support there and bounced back, but yeah, it's dealt with the crash alright in terms of the interior, but it's lost a door, which is not a good thing, and yeah, it's pretty much ruined in terms of being able to drive as well. It's losing oil, and yeah, it's not in good shape. Let's see what something even heavier than even those two vehicles would be like. We'll get in the ambulance. I'd be surprised if this gets up to 70, to be honest, but it's certainly going to have a lot more momentum behind it being a lot heavier. Oh, it's actually going to get up to 70-ish, nearly. Don't know why the textures haven't loaded for the wheels there, but yeah, that's easily the worst performing one yet. It's gotten through the barrier the most, and it's only the barrier itself being impaled into the engine block and whatever else that has stopped the vehicle going any further, because that's why it twisted around. But yeah, the heavier vehicle there, or the heaviest vehicle that we've had so far, is easily the worst performing. As you can see, the supports have completely flattened nearly. The barrier, the rail itself has twisted round. It's only because of this part that was embedded in the vehicle that has stopped it from going any further. One thing that has been noticeable is that with most of these vehicles, the barrier has been pretty much rendered useless after one crash, which again is not very useful. If you're going to have a pile up or anything like that, you want a barrier like that to at least withstand a few crashes and not just take the one, which, yeah, not very good. Let's see what a Gavril Roma can do. We'll go for a police version. It's often that you see police on the motorways and the like, so it's only natural that such a thing should be seeing what it can do in terms of crashing. And at the end of the day we have just had an ambulance, so let's see what the police can do in comparison. Much better. I was worried about the ride height on this overriding the support beams, but they've caught the vehicle insufficient manner to warrant it being able to be stopped. So yeah, but it has taken some severe damage, especially with the door and the underneath stuff. But interior looks a little messy, but it looks survivable enough to me. But again, the barrier has been again rendered completely useless just after one crash. Let's see what a modern SUV can do. This really won't struggle to get to 70. Probably weighs more than the Roma. It's also probably going to be a lot safer. Oh, whoa. Gone up end on end. Whoa dear. Oh. Well, luckily the barrier held. Don't know how, but it held. And the car itself is fine. This car is easily one of the safer vehicles on the on this game. But yeah, the barrier took a hell of a hit there. And at one moment it looked like this car was going to flip onto its roof. So yeah, quite severe in that regard. Slow down, slow down. Right, we'll go for one more modern kind of vehicle, and then we'll have a look at the heavier weights. We'll go for a Cherrier. We'll go for one of the Tograg versions. We'll go for the electric version because it will be guaranteed to get up to 70. And it's quite weighty as well, being an electric car, like electric cars usually are. It's got ride height to it like a normal SUV, but probably not enough to override the barrier. Nope. And this car being incredibly safe, like, more safer than the previous vehicle. It's, yeah, interior wise and everything else is perfect. Yeah, the car's performed extremely well there, and the barrier did as well. Right, let's look at the heavy vehicles. Let's see if these are too much to take in terms of the barrier. Let's take a look first at a bus. We'll go for the City Hybrid, City Electric. These are pretty quick for a bus, to be honest. Say that nope, it's not this one that I imagined, sorry. It's the hybrid race version. For some reason I had it in my head that that was the quick one, but obviously the race hybrid is going to be the quicker one. You can actually just immediately switch it to EV mode if you so wish. Like that. And it will go pretty sharpish. Right, I'll be surprised if the barrier can deal with this being hitting it at 70, to be honest. Nope, nope. Completely gone through, and we've hit the cinder block wall, and then some. Yeah, the barrier did not stand a chance there. As you can see, they've been pretty much flattened down. Even the ones that weren't directly hit have been bent forwards as well, so yeah, it's not going to survive a bus, which I guess is kind of predictable. But even with the barrier going along with the bus, I was expecting it to be able to hold on a little bit better. And yeah, there's been a fair bit of damage to the bus there, mostly from the cinder block wall though, to be honest. Right, let's reload all of that. Let's see what a different kind of bus can do. Let's see what a school bus can do. Yeah, we'll go for this one. This is more the kind of a school bus kind of thing going on. Go for the performance version just so we can manage to get up to about 70 miles an hour. I imagine this is even heavier than the bus that we were just in. But again, it's whether or not it's got more surface area lower down that is going to impact whether or not this is going to be quick enough or heavy enough and, you know, the right kind of vehicle to deal with it, or it's not going to be the right vehicle to deal with it. One way or the other, we're going to find out. completely through it, and through even less damage than the bus, to be honest. Sure, the bonnet has come off, but at least the doors haven't completely come away, and yeah, there's less intrusion on the bodywork, but yeah. School bus there, absolutely overriding the barrier with complete ease, to be honest. Right, now let's look at the trucks. Let's go for the Euro Man truck, see what this can do. Now these would typically be limited to 56 on a UK motorway, so we'll take a look at it at that speed first, and then we'll see what it can do at at 70 miles an hour. So yeah, this is the speed that they're limited to on our motorways, for safety reasons, and yeah, even at 56 miles an hour, it's gone through the barrier completely. And we're going to hit the wall. Oh. But yeah, it's not damaged the truck all that much, to be honest. Most of the damage has been from the brick wall, if we're being realistic. But yeah, right. Now let's see what happens at 70 miles an hour, or at least as close as we can get to that. If we're not going to get to 70. To see how much further it actually goes. Not quite 70, but we're about 10 mile an hour more. Oh, the physics have completely gone AWOL there. Don't know whether it was because it hit the barrier or because it had more speed and more momentum to slow down, that it just pretty much broke the back of the truck. Owie. Well, that seems to be in conclusion that going faster is better. We'll do it one more time just to make sure that we haven't had a fluke of physics there. Because yeah, that doesn't really work out, to be honest, to go faster and then not be able to get through something. Hit it here. See if that works. Yeah. I think it was just the point that we impacted the barrier at. But that's why you do multiple tests, to make sure that you have gotten what a vehicle can do properly. Otherwise, if I just went from that second crash, it would look like going faster was the better option, to be honest. So yeah, let's go to the Gavril B series. We'll go for the highway version, since we are dealing with highway girders. And then we'll try out the version of the semi that is standard with the game. The only semi with the game itself, to be honest. This will not struggle to get up to 70. It's pretty quick, to be honest. Yeah, completely over the barrier there. Didn't even slow down for anything, to be honest, and right through the brick wall, and again barely even slowing down for that. No surprise really. Look at the size of the tyres and the height of the bodywork. The barrier doesn't even really come up to here, so yeah, all it had to really do was just go over it with its tyres, and yeah, that was it. So yeah, that barrier is way too low for those kind of vehicles, which doesn't really give it much hope for the next one, to be honest. But then again, I think this is actually slightly lower because it has a rather low-hanging bumper. We're going in the ram plow version just because it's a quicker version, but we will take the ram plow off because obviously that would not be fair. Let's go for the normal front bumper. As you can see, the distance between the bumper on this is a lot less than it was in the other vehicle. So I don't think this will get away as easily as the B series did. But I imagine it will still go through it. Yeah, through it and into the brick wall. Yeah, as you can see, the rail there is right up alongside the bumper, so yeah, this lower ride height semi does take more damage because it's lower down, but it does like the B series, it just has no real problem with getting through the barrier whatsoever. So there we go. The heavier vehicles have the easiest time, no surprise about that, and the lighter vehicles have a less easy time from that. But just to see how effective this barrier is, we're going to get in a fast covert, and we're going to see what happens when we hit just the one side of the barrier and not the entirety of it in the middle. See if this barrier is infallible in most circumstances. Yes, pretty much, because it hit the support beam just like it would if it hit the middle, to be honest. It's gone a little bit further, I see, but not all that much. And yet the barrier there doing its job. So there we go, just another interesting little test there. Not the most destructive thing in the world in context of this game. Obviously you can do far more extreme tests than this, probably far higher speeds as well, but I like to do the more normal kind of things as well with this game, as well as the extreme kind. So yeah, there we go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.